Sign here, and your mother walks out of this alive. Disagree, and we press charges tonight. Leora's hand trembled over the contract. The pen felt impossibly heavy. 3 floors below, her mother was in a hospital room, not dying, but destroyed, shaking, apologizing through swollen eyes. She had been working for these men, cleaning offices and running errands for their company, until the night she made a terrible mistake. A watch. Not just any watch, an item worth more than Leora would make in 10 lifetimes. Her mother had taken it, desperate, terrified, drowning in the debt their father left behind. She'd been caught within hours. And when Leora saw her mother's tears, saw the way her entire body crumpled under guilt, she couldn't hold herself together. She couldn't walk away. She couldn't let her mother be dragged off in handcuffs. So here she was, facing the men her mother stole from. The Korean businessmen in perfect suits who had every legal right to destroy their lives, but instead offered this. A contract. A bargain. A sentence disguised as mercy. Not money. Not repayment. Sir, for 3 years. To live in Seoul. With both of them. She was 22, had never left Manchester, and suddenly the gray skis and double shifts at the bookshop felt like a different universe. Now she was being offered a private jet, a life she never asked for, and a deal that tasted like poison and salvation at once. The men watching her were brothers, Kale and Dante Choi. They didn't look related, which felt like a trick of the universe. Kale, tall and lean with silver blonde hair and a smile that almost felt human. Dante, darker, broader, black-haired with eyes like obsidian stones. He hadn't smiled once. The strange part, they didn't need money, they needed her. Something about her blood work, her genetics, a compatibility she didn't understand and didn't have the privilege to question when her mother's freedom depended on it. She looked at the signature line again. If she signed, her mother walked free, charges dropped, the stolen watch forgiven, her job restored, her life back. If she didn't, everything shattered. So Leora signed. 3 days later, she was on a plane to Seoul, staring out a window as Manchester disappeared beneath the clouds, wondering if she'd saved her mother. Or sold herself. The penthouse wasn't what she imagined. She'd expected something sterile, institutional, a place that matched the coldness of the transaction. Instead, she found herself in Gangnam, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows that framed the Han River like a painting. The space was enormous, decorated in whites and grays with artwork she recognized from university lectures. Actual Rothkos, real Hearsts. This wasn't just wealth. This was the kind of money that shaped countries. Kale carried her single battered suitcase himself, treating it like something precious. "You'll be comfortable here," he said, his English barely touched by accent. "Whatever you need, just ask. We want you to feel at home." Home, the word felt absurd. But there was something genuine in his expression. His smile reached his eyes. He showed her the bathroom, the closet already stocked with clothes in her exact size, thoughtful and deeply unsettling in equal measure. How long had they been watching her? Dante didn't participate in the tour. He stood in the doorway with his arms crossed, studying her like she was an equation he couldn't solve. When their eyes met, something shifted in her chest. Not attraction, exactly, something stranger. Recognition, like her body knew him before her mind could catch up. That first night over dinner, they laid out the rules. Korean dishes she couldn't name, served by staff who moved like ghosts. "You'll come to the clinic twice a week," Kale said, sliding a bowl toward her. "Just monitoring, blood work, nothing invasive. The actual treatment doesn't start for another month." "And between appointments?" Leora asked. "You're free," Kale said. "Explore the city, learn the language, we'll provide whatever you want." "Except a ticket home," Dante added, his voice rougher than his brother. Kale shot him a look. "You agreed to 3 years. We need you here for the complete term. After that, you can leave. Your mother's situation is resolved regardless." There was something unspoken hanging in the air, thick as smoke. "What exactly are you treating?" Leora asked. "What's wrong with you?" The brothers exchanged a glance, some silent language passing between them. Finally, Dante spoke. "We're dying, both of us. Genetic condition. Without intervention, we have maybe 2 years. You're the only compatible donor we've found in 5 years of searching." The revelation hit her hard. They weren't villains, they were desperate. But that didn't explain everything. "Why do I have to live here?" she pressed. "Why can't I just come for appointments and leave?" Kale's easy expression faded. "The treatment requires proximity, your presence. It's not just blood draws, it's more complicated." "Try me," Leora said. "I signed your contract. I deserve to understand what I'm actually doing here." Dante stood abruptly, his chair scraping across the floor. "Tell her," he said to Kale, then walked out. Kale watched his brother leave, something pained crossing his features. When he turned back to Leora, the charm was gone. "Our condition is tied to our emotional state," he said quietly. "Specifically, our ability to form connections, to bond with someone. We've been deteriorating because we can't sustain human attachment. Our bodies are literally rejecting isolation." Leora stared. "That's not a real medical condition." "It is for us," Kale said. "We're not entirely human, Leora, neither are you. That's why you're compatible. That's why we needed you specifically." The room seemed to tilt. She gripped the table's edge. "What are you talking about?" Kale reached across and took her hand. His skin was warm, almost hot. "You're a carrier. Dormant genetics from a bloodline that diverged from baseline humanity about 3,000 years ago. You'll never express the traits yourself, but your presence stabilizes people like us. Your mother has the same markers. That's why we're not pressing charges. She might need this information eventually." Leora pulled her hand back. "This is insane." "I know how it sounds," Kale said, "but you'll feel it soon. The pull. The way your body responds to ours. It's already started, hasn't it? You felt it when you looked at Dante." She had that strange recognition, like her cells were rearranging themselves to accommodate someone else. "I want to leave," Leora whispered. "You can't," Kale said gently. "You signed a contract, but beyond that, if you leave now, your mother faces prosecution again. And Leora, you'll start feeling sick. The bond has begun. Breaking it abruptly would harm all of us." She wanted to call him a liar, wanted to run. But her hand still tingled where he'd touched it, and she could sense Dante somewhere in the apartment, could pinpoint his exact location like a compass finding north. What had she agreed to? The first week was torture. Leora stayed in her room, ordered meals through staff, avoided both brothers, but her body betrayed her. She'd wake in the middle of the night with her skin burning, find herself walking toward Dante's room before catching herself. Once, she made it to his door. Her hand was on the handle when his voice came from inside. "I can feel you out there," he said. "Either come in or go back to bed." She fled. Kale was easier. He didn't push. He'd leave books outside her door, Korean snacks, small notes in neat handwriting suggesting places she might enjoy. He was trying to make this bearable, and she hated how much she appreciated it. But Dante was everywhere and nowhere. She'd glimpse him in the gym at dawn, his body moving through forms that resembled martial arts but weren't quite. She'd hear him on the phone speaking rapid Korean, his voice sharp with authority. The staff moved differently around him, quickly, nervously. He frightened her, but not in the way he should. 2 weeks in, Leora broke. She found Kale in the library reading something dense and medical. "I need real answers," she said. "What exactly happens if I stay the full 3 years?" Kale closed his book. "You save our lives. The bond fully forms. After that, you're free to leave, and we'll be stable enough to survive without you." "And if I try to leave now?" "We all suffer. You, me, Dante. The bond started forming the moment you signed. It's biological, automatic. Fighting it only makes it worse." "This is slavery," Leora said. "No," Kale said firmly. "Slavery is being forced without choice. You chose this for your mother. That makes you selfless, not a victim." "I didn't choose this," Leora snapped. "I chose between 2 kinds of hell." "I know," Kale said, "and I'm sorry. But Leora, this doesn't have to be hell. We're not monsters. We're just trying to survive, same as you." She wanted to hate him, but his eyes were too honest, too kind. That night, she dreamed of Dante. He stood in her room watching her sleep, and she could feel his thoughts like they were her own. Loneliness, bone-deep and endless. Fear that he'd die before ever feeling whole. And underneath, a hunger so intense it jolted her awake. He was actually in her room, standing by the window. "You dream loud," he said without turning. Leora pulled the blanket to her chin. "Get out." "I can't," Dante said. "The bond is accelerating. My body wants to be near yours. I'm fighting it, but it's getting harder." "Try harder," Leora said. He finally looked at her. His eyes were black in the darkness. "Do you feel it, the pull?" She didn't answer, didn't need to. Her silence confirmed everything. Dante crossed the room in 3 strides and sat on her bed's edge, not touching her, barely breathing. "I didn't want this either," he said. "I voted against finding a carrier. I thought we should die with dignity, but Cale insisted. He always believes there's a solution." "And you do?" Leora asked. "I think some things are meant to end," Dante said, "but I'm selfish enough to try living anyway." He stood and left, but the space where he'd sat stayed warm for hours. The shift happened gradually, then all at once. Leora stopped hiding in her room. She joined them for meals, let Cale teach her Korean phrases, watched Dante cook breakfast with frightening precision. The apartment stopped feeling like a prison and started feeling like something more dangerous. Like home. Cale took her to markets in Sadong, bought her street food, laughed when she couldn't handle the spice. He was easy to be around, comfortable. She caught herself looking forward to seeing him, missing him when he was gone. Dante was different. He'd appear beside her on the couch while she read, saying nothing, just existing in her space. Sometimes he'd fall asleep there, his head tipping onto her shoulder, and she'd sit frozen, afraid to move and wake him. He looked younger when he slept, less haunted. One night, 6 weeks in, all 3 of them were watching a movie. Cale on her left, Dante on her right. The bond hummed between them like electricity. Cale's hand found hers. Casual, natural, she didn't pull away. Then Dante shifted closer, his shoulder pressed against hers, and she felt it. The full weight of the bond. It wasn't romantic. It was deeper, cellular, like her body recognized theirs as necessary, as home. "It's working," Cale whispered. "Can you feel it? We're getting stronger." Leora could. The constant exhaustion that had plagued both brothers was lifting. Dante's eyes were clearer. Cale's smile reached deeper. They were healing, because of her. But something else was happening. Leora was changing. She felt more alert, stronger. Her senses sharpened. Food tasted more intense. Colors were brighter. One morning, she woke realizing she'd been dreaming in Korean. "Side effect of the bond," Cale explained when she asked. "You're absorbing some of our traits. Nothing dangerous, just enhanced perception. It'll fade after the 3 years." "Will I?" Leora asked. "Fade, I mean, when I leave." Cale's smile disappeared. "That's up to you." The problem was, she didn't want to leave. Not anymore. Manchester felt like a memory. Her mother was recovering beautifully according to video calls, had her job back, was rebuilding. Leora had fulfilled everything she'd signed up to provide. But she'd found something here she hadn't expected. Purpose. Connection. 2 men who needed her in a way no one ever had. Was that real, or just the bond talking? The breaking point came 3 months in. Leora had gone to a cafe in Hongdae, trying to have one afternoon to herself. She was reading when someone sat across from her. A woman, Korean, beautiful and cold. "You're the carrier," the woman said in perfect English. Leora's blood went cold. "Who are you?" "Someone who wants what you have," the woman said. "The Choi brothers are worth billions. Their company controls half the tech sector in Asia. You think you're special, you're a medical tool. They'll use you and discard you." "Get away from me," Leora said. The woman smiled. "They didn't tell you about Hana, did they? The last carrier they found. She lasted 6 months before the bond broke her mind. She's in a psychiatric facility in Busan now, doesn't even remember her own name." Leora stood, knocking her chair over. She ran, all the way back to the penthouse, burst through the door. Both brothers were in the living room, and they knew immediately something was wrong. "What happened?" Cale demanded. "Who's Hana?" Leora asked. The color drained from Cale's face. Dante went very still. "Tell me," Leora said. "Now, or I walk out that door and never come back." Dante spoke first. "She was a carrier. We found her 2 years ago. The bond formed, but it was unstable. She couldn't handle it. The connection was too intense, It wasn't our fault. Where is she now? Leora asked. Silence. Where is she? Leora screamed. She's safe, Kale said quietly. We're paying for her care. She's getting the best treatment available. But yes, she's in a facility. The bond damaged her. And you didn't think to mention this. Leora's voice shook. You let me sign up for something that could destroy my mind. You're different, Dante said. Stronger, the bond with you is stable. Hana wasn't from the start. We should have told you, but we were afraid you'd refuse. I would have, Leora shouted. I absolutely would have. She locked herself in her room, ignored their knocking, their apologies through the door. She packed her suitcase, the same one she'd arrived with. But when she tried to open the door to leave, her body wouldn't cooperate. Her hand froze on the handle. Pain shot through her chest. The bond, it was too strong now. Leaving would actually hurt her. She was trapped, not by locks or contracts, by her own biology. Leora sank to the floor and cried. For the first time since arriving, she let herself grieve, for her freedom, for the simple life she'd lost, for the person she used to be. Kale found her there hours later. He sat beside her on the floor, not touching, just present. We messed up, he said. We should have told you everything from the start. We were scared and selfish, and we hurt you. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this, Leora said. No, Kale agreed. But maybe we can. Leora, we're not keeping you prisoner. If you truly want to leave, we'll find a way to break the bond safely. It'll hurt us, maybe kill us, but we'll do it. You deserve the choice. You'd die, Leora asked. Probably, Kale said. But that's not your burden to carry. We created this situation. We'll face the consequences. Dante appeared in the doorway. He looked wrecked. I'll do it, he said. I'll take the severance procedure. It'll kill me faster than Kale, but it might give him enough time to find another solution. You can go home. Leora stared at him. You'd die so I could leave. Yes, Dante said simply. And somehow that changed everything. These men who'd trapped her, who'd manipulated her into coming here, were willing to die to free her. That wasn't possession. It was love. A twisted, complicated, bonded by biology love, but love nonetheless. I'm not leaving, Leora said. What? Kale asked. I'm not leaving, she repeated. But things change. No more secrets. No more treating me like a medical experiment. If I'm staying, I'm part of this. Equal. Partners. Partners, Kale agreed immediately. Dante just nodded, but his eyes said everything. Relief, gratitude, something deeper he didn't have words for. The next 6 months were different. Better. Leora took control of her own medical appointments, demanded to understand every procedure. She started working with their company, using her literature degree to overhaul their international communications. She was good at it, better than good. Kale courted her properly. Dates in hidden restaurants. Late-night conversations about philosophy and childhood dreams. He kissed her for the first time on a rooftop in Idiwan, and it felt like coming home. Dante was slower. He'd leave her flowers without notes, cook her favorite meals without being asked. One night he found her crying over a video call with her mother, who was finally stable and smiling again. He sat beside her and held her while she sobbed, saying nothing, just being solid and present. When he kissed her weeks later, it wasn't gentle like Kale's. It was desperate, claiming, like he'd been holding back for months and finally broke. Is this real? Leora asked him after, or just the bond? Dante cupped her face. Does it matter? The bond made us possible, but what we are now, that's real, that's choice. He was right. The bond had brought them together, but everything after was theirs. The 3-year mark approached faster than Leora expected. Her mother was thriving, had started a support group for families drowning in debt. The brothers were healthy, stable. The treatment had worked. Leora's contract was complete. She could leave. She had a ticket booked, a flat arranged back in Manchester, her old life waiting. The night before her scheduled departure, both brothers sat her down. We're releasing you from the contract, Kale said. You've fulfilled every obligation. More than fulfilled, you saved us. Whatever you choose now is freely chosen. We'll maintain the bond if you stay, Dante added. Or we'll begin severance procedures if you go. We're strong enough now to survive it. It'll hurt, but we'll live. What do you want? Leora asked. You, they said in unison. Kale continued, but only if you want this, want us, not because of biology or obligation, because you choose it. Leora looked around the penthouse, this place that had been a prison, a laboratory, a home. She thought about Manchester, gray skis and familiar streets, her old life waiting like an open door. Then she thought about waking up between Kale's warmth and Dante's solid presence, about the way they'd learned to be 3 instead of 2, about the life they were building. I need to see my mother first, Leora said. Make sure she's really okay, but then I'm coming back. You're coming back, Kale asked. I'm coming back, Leora confirmed. Not because I have to, because I want to, because somehow, impossibly, this weird bonded situation became my life. You became my life. Dante pulled her close. Kale wrapped around both of them. 3 people who shouldn't work, 3 people who had no choice but to work. There's something else, Kale said. The bond is permanent now. Even if you're in Manchester and we're here, you'll always feel us. We'll always feel you. Distance doesn't sever it anymore. Good, Leora said. I like knowing where you are. She went to Manchester, spent 2 weeks with her mother, who was bright and hopeful and rebuilding. Her mother knew about the bond, about what Leora had done. Are you happy? Her mother asked. Yeah, Leora said, surprised by how true it was. I really am. Then go back to them, her mother said. I'm okay now, more than okay. You gave me that. Now go live your own life. So Leora did. She boarded a plane back to Seoul, back to the penthouse overlooking the Han River, back to 2 men who were waiting at the airport, both scanning the crowd until they spotted her. Kale's face broke into joy. Dante remained still, but his eyes said everything. Leora ran to them, let them wrap her up, let herself be held by both. I'm home, she said. Yeah, Dante agreed. You are. The epilogue came 2 years later. Leora's name was on the company letterhead. She built their international division into something formidable. Her mother visited twice a year, had expanded her support group into a full nonprofit. The bond was stable, permanent, comfortable. Kale wanted to make it official, a ceremony, something to mark what they'd become. Dante thought it was unnecessary. They were already bonded in every way that mattered. Leora voted with Kale. She wanted the ceremony, wanted to stand in front of people and claim these 2 men as hers, wanted them to claim her right back. They held it in a private garden in Seoul. Small, intimate, just the people who mattered. When Leora stood between them, holding both their hands, she thought about the girl who'd signed a contract in a hospital room to save her mother from prison. That girl had been terrified, desperate, alone. This woman was none of those things. 3 years ago, I made a deal to save my mother, Leora said. Best deal I ever made. Kale laughed, Dante almost smiled, and the bond between them hummed, strong, permanent, real. Not perfect, they still fought, still struggled with jealousy and territory and 3 people trying to be one unit, but they chose it, every day.